This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
Drive to deep center field. Going back, Hernandez at the track, right to the wall. Gone! Elvis Andrews!
And 29 other MLB clubs.
High drive, deep left field. Nino left the building.
Guerrero lifts one to left field and gone.
Oh, Sonny, that was a moonshot out there in the right center.
Alonso defends his title, the 2021 Derby champion.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from OPS Plus to juiced balls to game-changing moments. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us next from the town, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Are we on? Is A's Cast Live on? Are we doing this? I mean, Brody Brazil's in the dugout, for God's sakes.
It's Brody's here. It's a big deal.
From NBC Sports California. I mean, if Brody's in here, we got a big game today. We have a big show for you today. Scott Emerson, the pitching coach, is coming down from the bullpen. See, this is the stuff that you normally don't get to see on a regular show, but he's going to be. Is Emo coming on today, or do we get big leagued?
I didn't hear anything.
Well, we were hoping to get him on. We're actually going to get him on as he walks by right here. Scott Emerson, the pitching coach of your – no. We'll get you at a different – we need to get you for the homestand, though, there. Yeah, we'll call your people, our people. We'll get a – well, I know you need some money, too. You're like the mob. We got to pay you off. The great Scott Emerson. We have a big show for you today. Matt Chapman, former Oakland Athletic turned Toronto Blue Jay, will be here. And got some questions about his time and what it meant for him. And, when he said, it's one thing when he played against this team in Toronto and he talked to everybody. What's it now like when you come out to third base and Bob Melvin's not hitting you fungos anymore? This was his clubhouse, his stadium. He used to yell from the third base spot up to the press box to turn up his music. He controlled the music. He controlled the stadium. Everybody catered to him. This was his house.
He essentially was Dave Vernetti. He took over Dave Vernetti's job.
So let's ask him, what does it feel like to come back here and no longer are you an Oakland Athletic? You were the leader of this team. I'm very curious to see what he has to say, because I don't think it's as easy as, well, they traded me and we moved on. Well, the reports were that he was offered a contract, and let's see what he had to say, or let's see what he has to say about being offered that contract. And whether, because we have experience with those things here with Jason Giambi coming on the program saying, well, didn't go down exactly how it was reported. There may have been maybe some verbal talk, but there was never an actual piece of paper, which we would now call an email, that was presented to Jason Giambi as a formal offer. So he can actually say, I was never offered a contract. The A's can then turn around back then and say, oh, well, we knew he was going to New York anyway. Well, don't you still present him with an offer? He may have a change in heart. I mean, we're now learning.
Hometown discount?
If Freddie Freeman would have been actually presented with the offer and knew about it, he would have taken it.
We're still talking about Freeman?
And he would have stayed in Atlanta.
That mean Matt Olson stays here?
I don't know. I mean, what happens if Matt Olson does take that contract?
Freddie Freeman.
No, Matt Olson.
Takes what contract?
The contract of 150.
Oh,
how much does that change? Do you now get rid of Matt Olson if he's now committed to the future? How much did Matt Chapman not taking that contract? I mean, Semien, as much as I will root for Marcus, and I love Marcus, and I think Marcus is a grade A, and we will go on and on about Marcus Semien, I think that, and I would bet that the A's will look back and say, not offering Marcus Semien the type of contract that he has gotten now at $175 million will be a win for the franchise. I do not think this offer, or I should say the contract that he signed with the Texas Rangers, will age well. It hasn't even gotten off to a good start. Good to see him hit another home run yesterday. Good to see him get that average up to, I think he's around 230. But They're not happy with the first year. You got 6 years left of that. I don't think that contract ages well. And that to me will be a win for the front office. But if Matt Chapman accepts the contract and was still here for the next 9 years, that contract would have started this year?
Yeah, I think so. Because he would have had. Because he still has 2 more ARB years left.
Yeah, this was buying up arbitration years.
Yeah, you were essentially buying up arbitration years, and then he would 6 years.
So you'd have this year and 9 years left if it was a 10-year deal. Well, let's ask him what was offered, and let's find out. But I mean, how much would that have changed this season? How much? What we can find out, and then we can say, well, by him saying no, this led to. Because the new ballpark was supposed to be built around him. He was supposed to be the showcase figure. He says Oakland should keep the team. Oakland should have a new ballpark. Well, you were the featured piece, and you said no.
Yeah, and that was 3 years ago, so he would have been 26 then. 26, 27.
When he was offered the contract, I thought it was recent.
I thought it was 2019 he was offered the deal. Right after after the 2019
I don't
season.
think it was 2019 because if you remember, we had him on the program. And we had him on, as we like to do, we like to tape the show. This is being real, by the way. As Jim Harbaugh once said, it's getting real fast. We had Matt Chapman on the program. I was doing it from the home studio. It was a taped deal.
Yeah, after 2019, apparently he was offered the deal.
I asked him, remember when we asked him before? And I said, has there been any offers? And he was no.
Yeah.
That's why I want to ask. So this report out there, was anything ever? He may decline to talk about it. He may not want to talk about it. He may say that's past me, but I think it's worth asking. Were you offered? When were you offered? What were you offered? Ace fans, I think, deserve to know.
You have to ask the question.
Because front offices don't want to get into it. We could ask David Force a bazillion different ways, and he would not tell us. They just don't do that.
Yeah, and it's what's the word I'm looking for? Journalistic integrity to ask that question, even though
you have none, and it's all about me.
I mean,
because I'm asking the questions, you're going to hide underneath the umbrella.
Well, kinda, not hiding, but I'll be here.
Okay. Do you want to apologize to me now or later?
Well, we have time. We might as well do it now.
Well, the floor is yours.
Do we need to set it up with the audio first, or
I am waiting for because if you listen to the show, you know how the commander says the show, all the ideas, everything's about him. Ken Korak and Vince Cotroneo are always talking about him, the great job that he does. It's all about Cody.
It's not just them. Kipe and Dallas talk about me too.
Everybody talks about how he makes the show go. Without him,
apparently,
although
Kipe takes shots at me because of the umbrella. I don't know, that relationship soured a little bit.
But I'm waiting.
Let's play the audio first. This is earlier on MLB Now. Joel Sherman, Brian Kenny, and Ruben Amaro were talking about MVPs, and this is something Townie's been talking about. We'll play the audio for you, and you can just listen for yourself.
Yeah. Can I talk about Ohtani and Trout? Since you
you want to go right from the dog there. I know you want to go in value, and sure, because Trout is still in this equation, by the way. Yeah.
They're done. I don't want to hear about either guy's MVP case. I'm with Dog. Like, what happens when we talk about wins above replacement and ratio stuff? That's why Alcantara is my guy. Like, you throw that number of innings. He's got 3 complete games. He's got, I think, 8 games of 8 innings. Like, he's helping you win so many days, not just the day he pitches, but he saves bullpen, etc. He's happens
so
to be on a bad
stretch they had against the Yankees.
The bad stretch. Why are we talking about the Yankees? They lost, 14 straight games or 16? What was it? 14 straight games?
It's not an individual sport, though, Joel.
But they were terrible during that. Those pitching numbers for Ohtani come after that losing streak. In other words, our season's over. Here I am. Like, I'm ready to be good. And Trout's been terrible against the Yankees and the Astros this year. It's not just 3 games. It's 13 games against the 2 best teams where you need your best player to play well. He's got 1 homer and 1 RBI in those 13 games. He's got 3 hits in those 13 games. Like, The idea is actually to win, not to look good in some algorithm which nobody knows how it works.
Wait, hold on. What if by the end of the year? I hear you.
By the end of the year, they're both going to have fantastic numbers in a complete vacuum.
What
again.
if Mike Trout is the best hitter, hands down, in all of baseball?
If we're going to play hypothetical,
no, but that's very.
Let's play a
possible.
hypothetical.
It's
Say
very
somebody
possible.
hits 65 homers and all 65 come with their team up 6 runs or down 6 runs. Is that guy the most valuable player?
Theoretically, I guess he would not be, but that does not happen.
But this did happen. Mike Trout, look, I hate to be talking bad about Mike. Ohtani's the most spectacular player I've ever seen, what he's doing. Trout might be the best player I've ever seen. But within value, if we're going to talk about value, that team desperately needed him to be great.
Ruben, I have one more question for him.
Yeah, no problem.
Ruben is sitting here too.
I'll be very patient.
So you're saying no matter what Trout does the rest of the way,
unless the award gets called best player,
he cannot get the MVP.
No shot.
Even if he ends up slugging 750,
and the Angels get back in it because of him.
No, the Angels stay where they are.
No.
Okay.
Well, there you go. That's something you've talked about, and I apologize.
So I get a message today about, I got this from MLB Now. I'm like, it's July 5th. I've been talking about this for weeks. I normally don't blow myself up on this show, but I am today because I'm tired of not getting any love. I've been talking about this well before MLB Now. I did my homework to sell. I went through the game logs of Shohei Ohtani because it was when he hit the 2 home runs and the next day he struck out like 13. Everybody's like, see how great he is? I went, He was awful during their 14-game losing streak when the team needed him the most. So I went through his game logs. I added everything up. I had all his stats. I did it on a Sunday on A's postgame, then brought it out for the A's Clubhouse show. And then I brought it out the next day for A's Cast Live on a Monday. I didn't have MLB Network staff doing it for me. I did it. I've been on this for well over 2 weeks, and you wouldn't run with it until Joel Sherman of the New York Post does it on MLB Now, and then now you think it's a big deal.
Yeah, the other guy, the latter.
I'm pissed.
The latter in the conversation, you call him Trouty. I know him as Mike Trout. What do you have, 9 strikeouts in the Angels series or the series against the Astros?
6 looking.
Yeah, not good for Trout. He had a 0 for 14 slump. He had an 0 for 26 earlier this year. We talked about it yesterday. I asked you the question if Mike Trout's declining.
Okay, this is my point, and Joel Sherman hit it, and we've had Paul Hembekides from ESPN disagreed but understood. But Joel Sherman and I are right on the same boat. There's more people who are going to feel like Brian Kinney go, well, wait a minute, it's a weekend, it's 2 weeks. I said, and Sherman now has backed me up, an MVP has moments. We are too sucked into who's got the best baseball reference page, who's got the best numbers. That's fine. We have a Hank Aaron Award for that. We're talking about the most valuable player. And when your team needed you the most, both Trout and Ohtani, but this is more for Ohtani. Ohtani has multiple ways to help get you out of that 14-game losing streak. There were all the at-bats, and there were his 2 starts. He was terrible in all of it. His 2 starts were bad. He got roughed up in those 2 starts. And then in those at-bats, he stunk for 14 games. And they helped get their manager fired. And their season was over. They're not coming back from it. Season's done. Season's done. They stunk when the team needed them most. And now you want to say they're MVPs? And Joel Sherman's right. All of a sudden, we stink. We're out of it. But here we are now. Let's play well and start talking about how we're MVPs. That's not how a most valuable player should go. And it doesn't matter what sport. You shouldn't go out, lose 3 out of 4 of your first football games in the National Football League. You're out of the playoffs. Then your quarterback, now he's hell on wheels and he's throwing it all over. Well, look, he had 40 touchdowns. Well, what did it matter? He wasn't playing under any pressure. What pressure is it when you're going out every night getting your ass kicked, and then every once in a while you throw up a bunch of home runs and you have a good start, but you're still 12 and a half games back? What does that matter? Now you're just playing for stats, and as Joel Sherman said, and he hit the nail on the head, now you're just playing for an algorithm that we don't even know how it's done.
Yeah.
That's all Trout is, and I love Trout. But we're trying to make an argument here. everybody's going to throw war back in your face about Mike Trout. And you're like, okay, you're throwing this algorithm at me. I don't work for Amazon. I don't work for Google. I don't need an algorithm. What does it do for my life? I don't know. Amazon, it's all about algorithms. I know my wife goes on there. She hits a button, buys it, and it shows up at my front door. Great. For my baseball, I don't really care anymore. Trout's got this. He's wars. What? It's an algorithm that I can't even explain. No one can explain it to me. Can you explain to me how we get war?
No, because you can't figure out how, there's so many different. We got B war and Fangraphs war.
We have different kinds of wars now, but they can't even tell us how B war, F war is calculated.
I mean, we had to look up one earlier that I had no idea. What I had to look at what the hell is RE24? I still don't know what it means.
Yeah, they threw one out today on MLB Network that I'd never even heard of it. And you looked it up, and RE24, ER24, what the hell was it?
Yeah, it's RE24, and according to Fangraphs' definition of it, it measures the change in run expectancy from the beginning of a player's plate appearance to the end of it. Run expectancy is the average number of runs an average team would be expected to
score. Are
score.
you listening to this?
Yeah.
This is why baseball's not – it's simple. In basketball, you shoot threes, you shoot twos. I know Steph Curry hit 13 threes in a game. That's exciting. Warriors won. I like watching it. People in other markets go, hey, Steph Curry's on the floor. He shoots threes. I'm going to watch it on TNT. I get it. Go back to this. What is it?
Run expectancy based on 24 base out states, or RE24.
This is what our game is? This is what you're throwing at. Like, I'm supposed to know who the best players are. It's RE24?
RE24, correct.
RE24. I'm supposed to. I guarantee you, I would bet $1 million I could bring Brody Brazil over here and ask him, Brody, come here for a second. I got $1 million that you will not have the answer to this.
Waving goodbye to you just now. Not can I be on A's Cast, but what an appearance.
Hey, I just booked a guest for you right here.
There you go. That's elite guest booking.
What was that $20 bill about, Cody? Why are you looking over there? You think Matt Chapman's coming?
Yeah, he's supposed to.
Wait. Am I filling in for Matt Chapman right now?
They said he'd be late.
I'm proving a point.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
This is one thing.
Go ahead, yeah.
Do you know the definition of what the new analytic RE24 is?
I thought RE20 was a microphone.
Read it to him. This is our game, Brody. This is our game.
All right.
You ready?
And the definition of this stat's probably going to be like 3 paragraphs.
Here we go.
Run expectancy based on 24 base out states measures the change in run expectancy from the beginning of a player's plate appearance to the end of it. Run expectancy is the average number of runs an average team would be expected to score during the remainder of the inning based on the location of the base runners and number of outs.
See? Told you. So who leads the league in that category? RE24.
No idea. We just know that Paul Goldschmidt in the National League is number 1.
Yeah. Goldschmidt.
I was gonna think it's some obscure player who was like, okay, yeah, whatever. Like stats are supposed to just add leverage to a conversation, right? Or prove your point about something. How's that going to help me prove any points?
So that is my gift to you today.
All right.
RE24. You're done. Go do your television.
Go drop that on Stu. He'll stare at me.
And ask Stu what his RE24 was.
I think he'll say, I think I drank that last night. Yeah. We'll see you guys.
See you, buddy.
I mean, seriously, that's where we are today. That's what. Now, I will say this. If you wonder what an MVP is, because I guess this is like a big conversation, and you text it to me, so I'm going to read it right off my phone. Paul Goldschmidt, National League rankings. Batting average, 1. On-base percentage, 1. Slugging percentage, 1st. OPS plus, 1st. Total bases, 1st. Runs created, 1st. RE24, whatever the hell this is, 1st. And WAR, 1st. He's 1st in everything.
The only thing he's not, home runs. He's 6, but everything else, if we have to bring him down somehow, that's it. Other than that, he's been incredible.
And the Cardinals still in the hunt for the Central and a playoff berth. I don't know. But I'm lockstep with Joel Sherman, or it should be said he's lockstep with me because I beat him way to this. I think the whole Trout and Ohtani thing is really tired. And I know we're getting to the All-Star break coming up here, and that's when the MVP talk will come, and you're going to have people that go, oh, you can't compare anybody to Ohtani because Ohtani does a pitcher and he does a hitter. Yeah, he's a freak. It's incredible what he's doing. But we need to get back to what is the most valuable. And unless they get their team back into this thing, and unless that whatever the magic is, that we're looking at the Angels back in the postseason, I don't tell. Look at this, Scott Emerson. Oh, I ran it.
What? That's really bad. That's an error.
How's that an error? I ran out of room with my cord.
So bounce off your glove.
No, it hit off my foot. I don't see how you can talk about these guys as the MVP. And the other thing they did that I've been talking about has been on the show has been how the Astros are different than they used to be. We need to stop looking at them as the Jeffrey Lunau, Houston Astros, they tanked. And I know I've gone over a lot of this in the postgame show and the A's Clubhouse show. We have to kind of let go our hatred for the Astros from a baseball standpoint. From a fandom standpoint, I get it. You're always going to hate them. But what they're doing right now, as I think you can say the most complete team in baseball.
Oh, yeah, without a question. I ran by they came back from a 5-run deficit yesterday. They had the number one bullpen ERA going into play yesterday. They had the top 3 overall staff ERA. What they're doing is incredible. And they're doing with guys like Urquidy and a Christian Javier, Framber Valdez, international signings, along with Justin Verlander. And Jake Odorizzi came back yesterday, and he got roughed up in his start. But, I mean, what they're doing is remarkable. And their offense is so good. You got Tucker. You got a Rookie of the Year candidate in Jeremy Pena, who they drafted in the 3rd round a few years ago. You still got Altuve. You still got Yuli Gurriel, although he's not really hitting like he normally does. Catchers are weak spot. That's why I think they're going to go out and get Wilson Contreras from the Cubs. They call up their top catching prospect. I think that's just a ploy for them to show what he can do, and then they can trade him to the Cubs. That could be their catcher of the future, and they get Contreras for the rest of the year. But Houston they might be the most all-around team. Like, the Yankees are good, but yeah.
Well, the Yankees are fantastic, but
Houston went in and beat them. And then they came to Houston and they beat them there too.
And now with Verlander back, look what Verlander did in New York. Verlander won at Yankee Stadium, and he beat the Mets in New York. He had a nice little tour. He had a nice little tour against the Yankees, the Mets, and then the Angels. It was very, very impressive. And, one guy, now that can we establish that I don't have to go over Ohtani and Trout as MVP candidates anytime soon?
Yeah, I think that
I'm just going to look at the standings, and yes, you can say that it's not fair. I'm tired of talking about fair or not. If they get their team, if they rise as leaders as 2 of the 26 to get their team and rise their team, the tide rises all seas. If they get their team back into contention, then we'll talk about them. If not, they're done. And I think we can leave it there. One guy I do want to talk about who we saw rolling around here just a little bit ago. He just walked right by. I don't know if you saw him. Cole Irvin was fabulous last night.
Yes. I talked to him earlier. Told him I said great outing. He's now the 7th fastest pitcher in baseball. If you're looking at Baseball Savant's leaderboard on pitch tempo at 14.3 seconds. That's with no runners on base. That's his first home win since April 24th. That's what kind of blew my mind. First home win since April 24th. He's now 2-1 at home. He allowed 8 innings, 1 run against the Jays also last May. So he pitches well against Toronto.
Team that drafted him out of high school.
Yep, 95 pitches last night, 8 innings. And, the A's last complete game, I looked up, last complete game by an A's starter, Sean Manaea last year, June 2nd versus the Mariners.
June 2nd last year.
Sandy
Alcantara,
because everyone says that. He
Sandy
has 3 already this year, and he's gone 8 innings 8 different times.
Well, yeah,
and he's pitching tonight.
And he's pitching tonight, and that is pathetic. We have not had a complete game since June of last year.
And one of them, so I think the A's as a staff, we had 3 last year, and 2 of them, 2 by Manaea, 1 by Bassett, but one of Manaea's complete games was a 7-inning doubleheader.
Last night is a great example where you have a starting pitcher who's cruising, absolutely cruising. And he's gone through 8 innings. He's only given up 1 run. He hasn't walked anybody. I don't see the data that they have inside. I don't have a StatCast app on my phone like the front office does. I don't have the StatCast that they have here in the dugout. But, yes, in the dugout, they're looking at everything. They're seeing all of his readings. I don't know if they went down or not. But the fact that we did not allow Cole Irvin to go out last night and finish that game, I'll say it, it's ridiculous. Zach Jackson had to come in. He had to come in.
What happened the first batter he faced?
It's not the point. He had to come in.
Yeah.
That you're trying to be Cole Irvin couldn't, where we are in the season, you can't give me lockout. You can't say all that stuff. Short and spring. You're trying to tell me he couldn't go over 100 pitches to get a complete game? The way he was cruising through that lineup, you can have your guys warmed up in the bullpen. They can be ready to go. And are you terrified of your record? Are you terrified of the standings, of where you are in the standings? I mean, this is just, I don't get it. Why would you not allow your pitcher to complete the game when he's got under 100 pitches? You're not saving him for anything.
Yeah. I don't.
It's for a personal accomplishment. It's what pitchers strive to do. And you go, hey, 8 innings, got to get to the bullpen, which I can give you the stats of the bullpen. I understand you want your bullpen to get work, but the way this bullpen has been this year, this bullpen has not been good at all.
No. Second worst
so let a guy, you know what? A guy going a complete game allows you to rest that bullpen on a night like tonight where you potentially may need the bullpen, and Adrian Martinez going for just the 3rd time in his career. You may need, instead of Zach Jackson pitching last night, you may need him for 2 innings tonight.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I was screaming about this to my wife, but she doesn't care. She's an Angels fan and, bad baseball fan. So last night they getting pulled 95 pitches. Zach Jackson comes and gives up a double of the first batter he faces, but leave Cole out there. He was rolling. If you don't give me the 4th time through the lineup, he got George Springer out just fine, and then he got pulled. I just don't understand the logic behind it. It's not like he's a rookie making his 3rd career start like Adrian Martinez is. This is a guy that pitched all of last year for you, and he's pitching. He's made up. He's had a couple injuries this year, but other than that, he's been solid.
Yeah, and the thing that for me for Cole, which is therapeutic, is to actually go out there and throw the ball well at home, and to get the W too.
Yeah, like I said, first win at home since April 24th.
And I know the people of your generation now want to act like W's don't matter, but they tell you, Cole will tell you what it means for the starting pitcher to get a win. It means something. Yes, does it mean as much as it used to? Because I think it's honest to say it depends on who you ask. And really the guys that matter are not the people that look at fantasy sports numbers. The people that really matter are the people who are actually doing it for a living.
Yeah, I agree.
And so Cole Irvin, Scott Emerson, the pitching coach, they value wins for starting pitchers. This helps validate the work that you do down there. You could say, well, it doesn't mean as much, and you can give me but these guys want more than, like Joel Sherman said, I want to do more than just pitch for an algorithm. I want to pitch for an outcome, and an outcome is wins and losses. That's why we play the game. And it may be it may be something that we forget all the time, is that now we are just pitching for ratios, math equations, algorithms, that we have forgotten that we're pitching to win games. That's why we're here. That's why we're standing on the field. Is there a game tonight? There's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser. And for some reason, we're trying to do everything we can. And I don't know if we blame front offices or we blame fantasy baseball. I don't know if we blame Bill James and what he basically created. There's somebody to blame, but what we have done is we've taken the importance away from wins and losses, especially how we judge players. We want to act like players don't have anything to do with the win or losses in some ways, right? Like, you can lose. You can be on a team that lost 162 games. People are going, I don't care. His weighted runs created plus was. In the end, you got to remember why we're here. We're here to play a game. A game has a winner and a loser. The game is not played to see what your ex-WOBA is, which got brought up today.
I know. I saw that stat brought up for somebody.
Yeah. Your ex-WOBA got brought up today, and it's like, that's not why we play the game. We play the game to win. Matt Chapman is now on the field. He's going to be coming over as the A's are still taking batting practice. And I thought the A's did Matt Chapman right last night with how they handled the it wasn't necessarily a ceremony, a video tribute. By the way, there you go. What did you see the video tribute to him?
Yeah, it was a bunch of highlights with calls from Ken and Glenn and Vince. I thought it was well done. And then, when he came up to his first at bat, they played his walk-up song from last year.
Yeah.
To a nice ovation.
Don't you open up the window.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that. You heard that so many times.
I couldn't tell you who did that. Maybe it's Travis Scott? Couldn't tell you.
What's going on with our headphones?
The cable's shortening out, it sounds like. It shouldn't be. It's brand new.
Well, you have your umbrella over it, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's protecting all of our equipment. That's all that matters.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be very interesting to hear his thoughts about coming back to Oakland, about playing against the A's, what this franchise meant to him, and growing up in this franchise and moving on in his career. It's not always easy. Change is not always easy. And for a lot of these guys, they love playing here. They love being with the A's. But things have changed. And he definitely, no question, has been a big part of that change. And for the A's, 2 more games. You got the game going on tonight. And then, of course, you got the game going on tomorrow. Tomorrow, it's a day game tomorrow, right? 12:35?
Correct, yeah.
And so we'll get him, Matt Chapman, on as we speak.
Long time no see.
Well, how have you been? It's good to see you.
How are you, Chris?
We're doing well. We've upped our game. You're now on video. You now see the show on YouTube and on Twitter.
Very cool.
Well, it's been a while.
I know. It has been a while.
As we get Tony Kemp in here also, seeing your old teammates.
Yeah.
What has that been like?
It's been interesting. A lot of emotions yesterday, first day back. It was a lot of fun. Just brought back good memories. It was maybe a little harder to focus than I thought it would be. Just a lot of good memories in this stadium, a lot of things. So it just kind of all happened real fast. But I think today I've been able to slow it down a little bit. Excited to. It's always good to see. There's a lot of people I still care about here, and it's fun to play in the stadium where it all started.
I think about the video tribute. I was watching you. You were down the right field line, and you were stretching, and you looked up, and I could tell your reaction after you appreciated it. What was that like looking up and remembering those times, playoff games, all the guys that you went to war with here on this field, and seeing that tribute? What'd that mean to you?
It meant a lot. I think it means that, I did a few things good.
Yeah.
I think it means that, that we had a good run here. Unfortunately, all good things come to an end, and a new chapter begins for, a lot of the guys that have come through here. So I still keep up with my teammates here. I keep up with Oli and all those guys. So it's fun to see what they're on to. But to see that video and look back and, to be able to wave to the crowd and, tip my cap. Never had a moment like that before. So it's pretty cool. I feel the love here from everybody still. So, I have obviously enjoyed, all my time as an Oakland A. So to be able to come back and be welcomed with open arms, sure, it won't be the last time I come back here. So
no,
I'm sure I'm at least coming back here next year.
You're not retiring, are you?
No. So chances are I'm going to come back here, but the first time's always really special. And I think it'll get a little easier to play as I keep coming back here. But it's a lot of memories all at once yesterday.
All right, so you've always been real honest with us. So I got some questions, and I know yesterday around the media they're gonna ask you the traditional, and you're gonna, well, I don't know how to get to the opposing clubhouse and all that kind of stuff. But let's be honest. This clubhouse was your clubhouse.
Yeah,
you were the leader here.
For sure.
Wasn't that long ago, I'd be looking over at you right over there, say hello to you. You're yelling up to them, turn up the music. This was your house.
Absolutely.
You were the leader of this franchise. When you rolled in here yesterday, I know it's getting a little deep, but just what did that mean to your core that this was Bob Melvin, you, the leaders, to not be that guy? That had to feel really strange.
It did. It did feel strange, to be a little bit of a stranger in your own land. But I think, I still came in through FLOT. I went into the clubhouse through the A's way, said hi to everybody. So, I wanted to make my rounds early so I could come into the clubhouse, obviously try and get ready to play. But, it hurts a little bit. I think, I'm happy. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm excited to be a Blue Jay. This isn't about them. This is my goal is to win a World Series. I love playing with these guys, bunch of talented young players. So that's all great. But, to answer your question, and truthfully, it stings a little bit, no one, going from, having Bo Mel and being a leader and all those things and coming in here and kind of having, that ripped out from you. It just happened fast. And it just kind of reminds you that it's a business, and it's that's the way it works sometimes. And, I think it started with Marcus and Liam leaving, obviously. That one kind of pissed us off. And then obviously me and Oli and Bassett and Mania and all next and Bomel. So kind of the writing was on the wall. But, with every chapter that closes, there's a new one. And I have new opportunity and new goals and new focus here in Toronto. And obviously, there's still I feel like I have a lot to prove, not only to myself, to my teammates, but the game. And, I'm just excited to be able to still have that opportunity because, I'm still blessed to be able to play baseball every single day. I feel like I'm a leader in the clubhouse in Toronto. Maybe, I'm not coming in there and barking orders by any means, but I'm helping lead this team to go where they want to go because I want to go there, and so do they.
And the East is incredible, no doubt about it. I want to give you the same shot that I gave Jason Giambi years ago when we talked about. There was a lot about his contract, whether he was even offered the contract here. He ends up signing with New York. He ended up telling us, I was never offered a contract from the A's. There was nothing ever put in writing. Was there a contract offered to you? Was it something you actually saw that you were able to turn down? How did that all go? I wanted to be fair to you.
No, there was a, and I know it's funny how that all comes out after the fact, right? But that's how it is. I know that, they probably want to let people know that they didn't just let me walk, right? But there was a contract offer. It's obviously public now, but that was a tough decision for me. I was young in my career still. I had just come off of 2 really great seasons. I wasn't afraid to bet on myself, but it wasn't even as much about the money as it was about, kind of knowing the trend of the A's, right? So I said no to that deal, not because I wanted more money or whatever it is. Obviously, money has to do with the contract, and I thought that I'm worth more money than that. But at the end of the day, if I knew that Bob Melvin, Matt Olson, Marcus Semien, Bassett, Mania, Montas, Trinan, everybody that I played with that made us win 97 games 2 years in a row and win the division in 2020, if I knew that we were going to get a new stadium, we were going to continued success, win World Series, and run the same guys out there and continue to build that core, I would have committed. But I didn't know if that was what I was committing to. And there would have been a chance I signed that contract. Now Olson's gone. Now Marcus is gone. All these guys are gone. And I'm here, without the guys that I signed up to play with. So that's kind of what factored into my decision more than even the money. Obviously, it is a business. And, you have to, make that decision was a tough decision. It kind of, it was a really hard decision to make, but, I don't regret it. I look back and, I really am proud of what I did in Oakland. I'm proud of I left it all out there on the field every single time. I played through injuries. I injured myself. I did whatever it took to show up and play for the team, for, the name on the front of the jersey. And, I'd do it all over again if I could, but I don't regret it. I know that, who knows what's going to happen, how much money I'm going to make if I live up to the contract, whatever it is. But I came to peace with that. That's not what life's all about. Life's all about, a lot of things, but baseball wise, it's about being able to put yourself and bet on yourself and have an opportunity to, make a decision where you want to play and make a decision who you want to play with. And I wanted to play with those guys, and I didn't know if that was going to happen.
Well, you're always going to be loved here, and we're always going to miss Bob Melvin and you, the battle every day that you guys had they were epic battles.
For sure they were. So yeah, that is something that I'll always look to and laugh, and it'll be fun one day when I get to see Bo Mel across the way. But yeah, just a lot of good memories coming back here. It was a little different looking down at myself on this field in blue. That was a trip. Yesterday was usually looking down and seeing my white cleats and white green uniform, and I look out and I'm having to make the long run over there. So a lot of weird things your first time back, but I have no hard feelings with the A's. I hope the A's fans have no hard feelings towards me about the whole contract thing. But it is a business, and that's the way it goes. And my decision wasn't based off of strictly based off of money. Obviously, I thought at that time I was right up there in the MVP voting. I was playing really good baseball. I still think that I can play that kind of baseball, and it was mostly a decision made about what the future of this franchise looked like with my teammates, and that's who I cared about playing with the most. And I just obviously look at Marcus and Olsen now; they're signed long term somewhere else. So that's kind of what I was afraid of, and I just didn't want to be without those guys.
Well, we'll always appreciate your time.
Yeah.
I said the same thing to Marcus when he came back. We'll always be rooting for you.
Absolutely. Well, I'm always piece of me will be remembered as an Oakland A, and I've always loved coming here. So it's fun to be back.
We got more coming up next right here on A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
Like sports, business is about winning. Championship decisions are business decisions based on what it takes to help your company win. And that's why there's UBO Business Services, specializing in helping you win every day by streamlining workflows, managing documents, and providing the best-in-class office technology. Make your championship decision with UBO Business Services. Visit them at ubeo.com. That's ubeo.com.
August 6th is International Trading Card Day, and Topps wants to celebrate with you. Visit your participating local hobby shop, where you will receive a free pack of cards, plus a special card if you purchase $10 or more of Topps products, while supplies last. Post your packs on social media using the hashtag ToppsITCD, and follow along with @Topps. Visit Topps.com for more information.
Coming in at 5'3", it's #1 mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
Some things just go together. Peanut butter and jelly, cookies and milk, Oakland and Kaiser Permanente. If that last one caught you off guard, it shouldn't, because Kaiser Permanente has been helping keep Oakland healthy since our very beginning. And as the official healthcare partner of the Oakland A's, that won't be changing anytime soon. Whatever you may need, you can trust Kaiser Permanente to help keep you feeling your best. Kaiser Permanente. Thrive. Visit kp.org today.
Hey A's fans, we've got a great deal for you. Get 4 tickets and parking for all Friday night games starting at just $39. Pick from great matchups, post-game fireworks and drone shows, giveaways, and more.
Outside corner, ring him up. And Eaton can't believe it.
Grab the crew and head to the Coliseum with friends and family any Friday night this season. 4 tickets and parking starting at just $39 for the whole group. Tickets are available at athletics.com. That's athletics.com.
Innovation that's at the heart of Cal State East Bay, like at our Green Biome Institute, where faculty and students map genes from California's endangered plants, or how we open doors for local entrepreneurs at our Small Business Development Center. From educators to nurses to STEM professionals, Cal State East Bay has real impact throughout the region's neighborhoods, boardrooms, and entire economy. Be part of the innovation. Connect with Cal State East Bay at csueastbay.edu/impact.
Hitting the road with the family. On your way to nonstop adventures. No worries ahead, because you know you can stop at a Chevron station along the way. Get fuel for your car, fuel for your crew. That's Chevron with Techron for unbeatable mileage and snacks for all. Coffee for mom, chips for the kids, cold drinks for dad. You know, for the road ahead. Toss in some laughs, out-of-tune singing, and a zillion "Are we there yet?" And you just made lifelong family memories. Chevron, together ahead.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar. Pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Some things just go together. Peanut butter and jelly, cookies and milk, Oakland and Kaiser Permanente. If that last one caught you off guard, it shouldn't, because Kaiser Permanente has been helping keep Oakland healthy since our very beginning. And as the official healthcare partner of the Oakland A's, that won't be changing anytime soon. Whatever you may need, you can trust Kaiser Permanente to help keep you feeling your best. Kaiser Permanente. Thrive. Visit kp.org today.
Coming in at 5'3", it's number one mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game times, schedules, and more.
Streaming from the East Bay, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
Well, if you look over my left shoulder, you can see Matt Chapman taking ground balls right now. If you're listening on athletics.com/A'sCast, you can go over to the A's YouTube channel. And why don't you turn a little bit so we can see? Here, you know, I'll do it. Turn it a little bit more so you can actually see Matt Chapman working out.
Just turn the whole tripod.
See him taking ground balls right now. And that's what we're able to do here when you watch on Twitter or YouTube, and he's taking ground balls. And I wanted to give him the opportunity to answer the questions. And I thought, you know, like always, he was honest. And I wanted to be honest. You know, it's one thing when you come in here and the media just throws softballs at you and they say, you know, oh, what's it like to come back? Oh, I didn't know how to get to the visitors' clubhouse. Like, who cares? Every player that ever comes back to a stadium has that same tired take. I don't know how to get to the opposing clubhouse. It's 20 yards away. I mean, seriously, you really it's not like one clubhouse is in the center field, the other one is, you know, I mean, come on. The bottom line is this was his clubhouse. This was his stadium. This guy ran the show. He was the leader of the team. Bob Melvin played off the pulse that was Chapman. No question about it. And that's him in the background right there. And the reality is, it's not easy for him to come back. There's no way it was easy for him just to come back and say, I played here and now I'm a Blue Jay. No. All the free throw stuff, the fog machine, the stadium playing the music way too loud, all this stuff was Matt Chapman. When you traveled with the team, you really knew who was the leader of this team. It wasn't Olsen. It wasn't Simeon. It was Chapman. How are you the leader of this franchise and you're out of here? Well, it takes two to tango. So I wanted to get his opinion. What'd you think of his opinion, Commander?
I thought it was fair, and I think any player or anyone's gonna. I don't think any A's fan's gonna disagree with him. And we were getting comments in during the interview, and they appreciated his honesty, and they didn't blame him one bit. And
by the way, did you get that? Did you get anything like that anywhere else?
Not that I've seen. No.
I mean, I told you we're going to ask him, and we got it. Doesn't sound, that the commitment that he wanted, it wasn't enough, which I think we knew interviewing Scott Boras on this exact same field multiple times. We knew that was going to happen. But, hey, things move on. What would have happened if Matt Chapman signed the contract? How much does that change? How much does that change? What happens? What happens to the future? What happens with Olsen? What happened? I mean, what changes? We don't know. Now, you did have, to all honesty, Commander had the stat that in the calendar year from last year to this year, he was hitting 201.
Under that now.
It's under that now after going 0 for 3. So, what is it in the end the right move?
I think a lot of it plays into. Now we still know he's elite defensively. I mean, that's a given. I mean, we're watching. Yeah. We're watching him take ground balls right now, but we're seeing everything he's been able to do. The hip injury, I know we heard a lot about that, but he's still generating power for sure. But the strikeouts are alarming. You don't want to see that in the low average. The OBP is down, but the power is still there. You see it. The power will always be there for him. It's just everything else has kind of gone down every year since. He's starting with the first year, the breakout year. If I bring up his numbers right now and tell you what his numbers were in 2018 to 2019, I believe his batting average may have won. Let me just double check so I know what I'm saying. 2018, his first full season, he played 145 games, 278. He hit 24 homers, drove in 68. The next year, 2019, 36 homers, drove in 91, hit 249. Then the 2020 year, 232, the hip injury. Then 2021, last year at age 28, 151 games, 210 average, 27 homers, 72 runs driven, but the 202 strikeouts was alarming. The second most in the American League behind only Joey Gallo. That's not something you were expecting to see from him. So then this year, he's hitting 212, 11 homers, 37 runs driven in, 74 strikeouts in 264 ABs. You know what you're going to get defensively.
Yes.
He's elite. He can play shortstop if you want. He played shortstop for the A's.
I mean,
it was one game, but
he's the best defensive third baseman I've ever seen. Now, let's be honest, I'm not old enough. Proud to say that. Brooks Robinson, I know he won all those gold gloves. I know the highlights. I'm not old enough to see Brooks.
Tommy, you don't remember Mike Schmidt playing in his heyday?
But Mike Schmidt, the greatness of Mike Schmidt, let's be honest, there was when Mike Schmidt is the greatest third baseman of all time. That's coming from someone who my grandfather was the MVP of Major League Baseball in 1947, the great Bob Elliott. Look it up. My grandfather was one of the elite third basemen of his time. But that actually doesn't mean anything. I just like throwing it out there. Mike Schmidt's the greatest third baseman of all time. He's the best combination of power, great hands, a man his size. Mike Schmidt's the best. But Mike Schmidt played in Philadelphia. I grew up on the West Coast. We didn't have ESPN as we know it at that point. We had no internet. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have apps.
You didn't even have Baseball Reference.
We didn't have Baseball Reference. So Mike Schmidt was a game of the week. Got to see him in the All-Star game. And when I was 8 years old, he was in the World Series. So, no, I didn't get to see a lot of Mike Schmidt. I mean, that's the thing. Like, what you guys as kids now watching now, I'm doing a show on the field. We have a camera, and we're on YouTube, and we're on Twitter. We didn't have that with Mike Schmidt playing behind us. So, I don't know. Mike Schmidt was a great defender. I got to see it. And plus, I grew up in San Diego. I saw Mike Schmidt play as a little kid. I was a real little kid. I actually visually saw him play. But remember, they hardly ever came to town. He was in the East. So take it for what it's worth. And then if you're in American League, like if you grew up in a place like, I don't know, Seattle, you never even got to see him because there was no interleague play. So talking about great defensive third basemen what I have seen in my professional life, Matt Chapman's the best defensive third baseman I've ever seen. Now, to back me up on that, Ray Fosse told Jim Palmer, true story, Ray Fosse told Jim Palmer, Matt Chapman's the best. And you're telling a guy who played with Brooks Robinson, right? And you're talking about Ray Fosse who played against Brooks Robinson. He said to Palmer, this guy's the best guy I've ever seen.
Defensively, yes.
The size, the athleticism, how far he plays back, the arm, how he comes in on the ball. And Arenado, his high school teammate, his greatness also.
Good player.
And we don't see Arenado every day.
True. He's proved, by the way, not to go off on Arenado, but he's really proven that narrative that he can hit outside of Coors Field. Oh, everyone's like, well, he can't hit. He's doing just fine. Now, Story's hitting a little bit too, but he's hitting home runs. His average isn't there. And he's striking out a ton. But going back to Chapman, I've never seen.
Well, you know what the good thing for Arenado, what this will do? This will make him a slam dunk Hall of Famer.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because that was the thing. It's like even Larry Walker, because Larry Walker, the bulk was, there was a lot of Montreal. Then it was Colorado. The greatest years are in Colorado. And then he came out of Colorado, but those weren't the best years of his career.
Wow.
He was at the tail end.
You're talking about Cardinal legend Larry Walker?
Yeah, that's at the tail end of the career. Now you're going to have prime career for Arenado in Colorado and prime career in St. Louis. You put up the great numbers in St. Louis to go with what you did in Colorado. Now you're not a Coors Field guy anymore. You're not Todd Helton, even though Todd, you can make it. Okay, what's Todd? Since you are Mr. Algorithm, what's Todd Helton's WAR?
1 second. I have Arenado's hitting 292 this year. He has a 48.4 WAR already. I think he's going to be a lock for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I
Todd
agree.
Helton, former Tennessee quarterback Todd Helton's
who
WAR,
lost his job to Peyton Manning, by the way.
61.8.
Yeah, I'm going to say that doesn't get you in. I think he'd have to be a over 70, especially playing at Coors Field, to get in. Because you got to remember, WAR is counting your defense, and he was very good defensively.
Yeah, he 369 career homers, 1,406 runs driven in.
What's a career average?
316.
God.
300.
How is his WAR so low?
953 OPS.
How is his WAR so low? He hit home runs, drove in runs,
he won,
scored runs.
Yeah, 3-time Gold Glove winner.
Well, good defense. He did everything. How does his WAR not good?
And then you go and look at someone like I always bring him up every time we look at this. I go and look at Brian Giles, who had a 50-something WAR.
Brian Giles, who was such a steroid guy and could not stay healthy.
And he played on bad Pirates teams.
Was a great running back in high school. I saw him play in high school.
But WAR is so random. Like who we were looking at a pitcher that had a really, really high WAR for some reason. And then you look at other guys and their WAR is really low. I forget who it was. There was an extreme outlier case. Like Buster Posey has a low WAR, but he also didn't play as many years as other guys.
Ken Rosenthal. What time did I was up late last night. You know, sometimes you people are able to turn the game off. It's firework night. Last night, I had trouble sleeping, so I was up. What time did I email you the Ken Rosenthal piece?
It came through this morning.
Was it this morning?
Yeah.
So I'm reading Ken Rosenthal because, you know, doesn't everybody sit up late at night in bed and read Ken Rosenthal?
I mean, I do. I got the reading light on.
You know, to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't want to know what you do late at night. I'm on the Athletic. I'm on the Athletic reading. Ken Rosenthal it was funny. It was like, I got somebody to compare Buster Posey to. It's like, when did Buster Posey become this mythical creature all of a sudden?
He won several World Series.
There's been other players who've won World Series.
An MVP.
There's been other players who've won World Series and MVPs.
I know.
We act like he's this mystical. He compared Will Smith.
Catcher, not the pitcher, obviously.
You mean not the actor?
Not the actor. Yeah, that too.
Cody has no sense of humor. This was a great one today. Cody texted me about Sherman, Rips Ohtani and Trout no longer MVP. I respond, Joel or Richard. Joel, of course. You don't think it's what Richard Sherman? Richard Sherman.
It would be funny if Richard
49er, great. Seahawk, Legion of Boom.
First of all, when I think of Richard Sherman, I think of Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Stanford Cardinal Richard Sherman.
He was the greatest Buccaneer corner I've ever seen.
Wide receiver before he was a DB for Jim Harbaugh at Stanford, Richard Sherman. By the way, what's Stanford and Cal going to do?
I was talking to Cole Irvin about that. He goes, there's going to be no more conference games.
Well,
there's been a rumor five other teams reached out to the Big 12. It was like Arizona State.
Well,
Colorado.
they got to do something because if you're telling me Oregon and Washington are going to go to the Big 10, I mean basically the Pac-12's done.
Pretty much
as we know it. So you're going to have to find, if you're Arizona State, Oregon State, Washington State, Cal, Stanford, you're going to have to find, because you thought, well, maybe what if they bring in like San Diego State, Boise State, and San Jose State. But, I mean, it started as the Pac-6, then went to the Pac-8, then the Pac-10, now the Pac-12. Ken Korak, your entire life has been around this Pac conference.
I don't remember the Pac-6. I remember the Pac-8 when I was a kid. We used to go to games all the time when I was hanging out with my dad. We'd football, basketball every weekend with the Pac-8 back then.
It's in trouble.
Before they added the Arizona schools, right? That's when they became the Pac-10.
It's on life support.
Yes, it is. Yeah, this all started happening 15, 20 years ago, too, with all the conference realignment now, and it's kind of out of control. Thing that I know we're going to talk baseball. That
we can talk anything we want.
It concerns me about the Pac-12 and the distance. What about like swimming and volleyball and soccer,
softball,
and baseball and softball and all that?
Yeah,
because the travel wasn't bad in the Pac-12.
So UCLA and USC, and then it's even because basically the Big Ten was set up to be a Midwest power, right?
Which it always was.
And then they started adding East schools, and they added Rutgers and Maryland and Penn State. And then next thing you know, here comes Nebraska. But you're now going to have division games where you have schools from LA, USC and UCLA. They're going to have to travel, and vice versa. Rutgers is in New Jersey, Baltimore, Maryland.
The closest school to those would be to UCLA and SC would be like Nebraska.
Would be Nebraska,
right? Yeah. Iowa.
What's Colorado and Utah going to do?
Right. Northwesterns in Chicago.
Correct.
Purdue.
It's not easy to get to Michigan State.
No, it's not.
Because you're not.
I've done that.
You're not going into Detroit.
No,
you got to go into Detroit and then do a puddle jumper.
Which we've done, yes, in the past.
So
sure.
And then I was Paul Feinbaum, who's forever worked for ESPN and does SEC stuff, who's like, Mr. College Football, talked about, he understands why USC did it, and USC has to bring UCLA along with them.
Right.
But it was about USC. But he's talking about once these new contracts kick in for ESPN's contract with SEC and this big money by it, Fox is Big Ten, is each school's going to be getting like $125 million a year.
That's
each
what it's
school.
all about. That's what it's all about. Yeah, there's no doubt.
That's just not one school. That's each school in the conference just for football's getting that.
Yeah, and then the trickle down is that if you're the rest of the Pac-12, you're not going to come close to that, right?
Correct.
As they negotiate their next rights fee.
So then basically they're saying $125 million per school. Softball, guess what? You're flying commercial to wherever you need to go.
The Pac-12 is not a bad league. It just doesn't have the marquee value of UCLA and SC, so it's going to be hard for them to negotiate the kind of contracts that you feel like you need to have to sustain a big-time program like football.
It's the league of the Olympic sports.
Yeah.
I mean, you think the Sears Trophy all these years, Stanford has won the Sears Trophy as the best athletic department. I mean, basically the Pac-12 has been where all of our swimmers and gold medalists and silver medalists and all the different sports, the Pac-12 has been huge for the United States Olympic team.
You know what I liked when I was in the Big West at your alma mater doing their games?
I played in the Big West.
Because you could drive to almost every game. That was fun. when I was doing football and basketball for the Spartans, you jump down to UOP and Fresno State, and
the only
you'd
one
hit the LA schools and Long Beach and Fullerton and
we
Irvine.
We would bus to Fullerton, bus to Long Beach. We'd bus to Santa Barbara.
Irvine.
Irvine wasn't in it at the time.
You're that old.
Pacific. The only one was Vegas. UNLV was where we.
So Vegas was in the league when you were.
Yeah. So
what years were you at San Jose?
91 through 95.
Okay, that's when I started at Vegas in 92.
You were your tenure was at the end of your football when I got there.
Right, my last year doing football.
You took all your bowl rings and left us.
Of which we got 3 while I was there.
You took all your championships and you left us.
86, 87, and 90 for the Spartans in the California Bowl.
Yet, see, all of you A's fans think of Ken Korak as yours. There's still some people down in Spartoonie land who view
dwindling,
who still view Ken Korak as the voice of the San Jose State Spartans.
It's a dwindling group.
We had Matt Chapman on. I don't know if you heard.
Yeah, it's great. Great
and,
to hear him.
I allowed him, like I have with every former player. I'm not trying to be controversial, but you know me. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to give you the chalk. What was it like trying to find the other clubhouse? I would say, was the contract offered? Did you turn it down? And I let him go, and he did it. And
he was honest with you.
He was honest. There was a contract. It wasn't. He claims it wasn't about the money. Being a Boris guy, I don't know if I completely buy that, but I do buy the fact that he didn't want to be the only guy, knowing that the commitment to everybody else. That kind of makes sense. It's a business.
It is. It's too bad, and it's why the A's need to increase their revenue. Let's face it, it's as simple as that, right, Chris? And that's what the whole stadium situation is about. So, and it's just tough. It's tough on the fan base to see great players leave. And, you just don't want to, because the A's are a ways away from developing that next generation of great players. When that happens, have to hold on to them, Chris.
Yeah, because, we don't know, and we don't know when the next ballpark is going to, when this new ballpark is going to happen. I just know this. The players that will be in their prime are guys that currently may be in high school or maybe even in college.
Yeah, or maybe A-ball and double-A. I mean, you would hope that, guys like, so I'm excited. It's a long ways away, and prospects are prospects until they prove something. But Max Muncy's having a good year at Stockton and A-ball. Soderstrom's at Lansing. So you hope those guys are part of the foundation that the A's can grow with. But it's hard to project with players that are in the low minors. Both guys were number 1 picks. All the pitchers the A's got in the deals during the spring, they got 2 number 1s and a number 2. They got the Blue Jays number 1. In the Chapman deal. So you just hope that all that promise comes to fruition at some point.
You're right. I'm worried about when the ballpark opens up.
Right.
Because we don't know, right? We're hoping 27, could be 28.
Well, that's,
that's
could
be
5
29,
years,
30.
5 years down the road. And so those guys are in A-ball and double-A. If all this materializes, that those
best
guys
case scenario.
Could provide the foundation.
Yeah.
And that's what we're hanging our hats on.
The thing about what we got here now, which should keep you interested, is what we saw last night, what we've seen with Frankie, what we've seen with Paul Blackburn. Those 3, if you look at the numbers, you look at Cole Irvin's numbers at home at the Coliseum this year. It's a 1.49 ERA at home this year.
Well, we're going to hear from Scott Emerson on the pregame show, the A's pitching coach, of course. And the A's were a team that, with the 1-loss record struggling so badly, they have 3 of their starters in the top 18 in the American League in ERA, in Blackburn and Montas and Irvin. Now, Irvin's going to fall out tomorrow because he won't have enough innings, but he's qualified as of today. So they've done a good job. And they're also going with a little more of a small – now we're seeing what they can do when the ball leaves the ballpark. They've struggled so badly to homer, but they had 3 home runs in the first game of the series against the Mariners on Thursday. 2 long balls were big last night. They're still at the bottom in the league in home runs, but you have to develop power too, right, Chris? You can't win in this league unless you've got guys who can hit the ball out of the ballpark. And they have 7 home runs in their last 5 games. So we'll see if they can sustain that.
Yeah, have you seen many teams win a lot of football games that don't score touchdowns?
No, that's right. And the great A's teams
We're going to field goal you to death.
The great A's teams were never high batting average teams.
I know.
They were high on base teams, but they were home run teams. They hit home runs. They hit over 200 home runs a year. All those great clubs did that or came close to it. So have to develop that right now in the system. And I think they've got some guys who are showing that kind of promise.
I want your opinion on this because it's something that irked me, and I don't know whether you guys were even in town or not when it happened, but I got tired of this. Ohtani is just this – he's great, right? He's something we've never seen, and Trout's the greatest player of all time. But then all of a sudden they lost those 14 games, and Joe Madden got fired, and I was like, Ohtani shouldn't be MVP. And I went and did it myself. I went and did all the numbers, and during the 14-game streak, he stunk, pitching and hitting.
Mm-hmm.
And then today, Joel Sherman finally called out Brian Kinney on MLB Now. I don't know if you ever watched that show, but Joel Sherman just said, I don't want to hear about it anymore.
He's one of your big-time guests on your show.
I love him.
Yeah,
but Sherman was like, I'm so tired of hearing when the team needs, and I'm full agreement. I've been talking about this for weeks. When the team needs you most, you are nowhere to be found. And then now the team's out of it. 2 home runs here.
Well, we had this discussion at lunch the other day in Seattle with Kipe and Dallas.
Ooh, because Dallas is all in on Ohtani.
Well, and Kipe's position is that if you voted for Ohtani for MVP last year and he's doing similar things, if not better, especially on the pitching side this year, why would you not vote for him this year? And I've always taken the stance, Chris, unless someone is just light years better, that I want to see what you do in September. I like to see your club in a pennant race and when the heat's on and how do you perform. So I've always been biased toward a player on a team that's in contention and especially one that wins and gets to the postseason. Now, we don't have a vote, right? We never will.
Yeah, why do you not have a vote?
Well, we're not members of the Baseball Writers
Yeah, but the
Association.
only reason why the writers
we don't
have
vote for the Hall of Fame either.
You know why? It's because when they start all this stuff, we didn't have television. Radio was primitive.
Right.
So the writers were king, but we've evolved as humans and we've evolved as a media.
We have?
Yes, and the fact that writers are now on – you know what's funny about that? Writers are the ones on the way out.
The other thing I was told is that, like in my case, because I work for the club, paycheck comes from the A's, that they would say, well, there is an inherent bias, like with the Hall of Fame. You'd be more prone to vote for your guys, A's guys, so you would lose your objectivity. And my answer to that is we all have to reconcile our own credibility, first of all. And the other thing is that the line's really been blurred even for writers, because they're writers that are getting paychecks from radio stations and maybe pregame and postgame shows
flying with the team
that are owned by the ball clubs and stuff. So that whole thing has been blurred for the last several years. So I'm not sure that rationale holds too much water now.
Let's throw this out there. I think of yourself. I think Vinny. I think Bill King. Let's go over to Lon Simmons, Hank Greenwald, whoever you want to think over on the Giant side, John Miller.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think all of you guys, just knowing and having dealt with all of you guys, that you would not say, I value this vote? I'm not going to be a honk.
I think so. Yeah, I would.
Vin Scully would not give you an honest.
I think
seriously?
So. Yeah, for sure. But that's not going to happen. It's okay. It's not that big a deal.
It may change. I mean, we're running out of writers. I mean, there's not the baseball writers that there used to be. And a lot of these guys, what we're finding out is still have votes, and they haven't covered the game in a long time.
I miss that because when I started here, we had like 5 papers covering the A's on a daily basis and traveling. Might have been a half a dozen.
We have 1.
Yeah, right. And MLB, right?
And Martin Gallegos is MLB.com. It's
MLB,
not a paper.
Yeah.
We have one paper.
We had CC Times, Oakland Tribune,
San Jose,
Mercury News, Examiner, Chronicle,
Press Democrat,
and Sacramento Bee with us back then. You know, I enjoyed that. It was fun.
Yeah, a lot has changed, but I'd like to see you guys actually have a vote. I think it'd help the credibility.
Thank you. You could carry the ball for us.
Because we have columnists in the Bay Area who still have a vote, and you'll never see them here.
Right.
So how can they really they'll go over to Giant games. They may not watch our games, but if you have to give a vote on an American League player on whether this guy should go into the Baseball Hall of Fame or not, and let's say for example, Toronto comes one time a year. Could Vladimir Guerrero Jr. be a Hall of Famer someday? Sure. Could maybe Bo Bichette? Sure. If you don't come and watch these guys' careers and you're voting on their careers, that's the problem I have with these random columnists who have votes.
And I felt that way a little bit in the days before interleague play, that I didn't know the National League that well. I mean, when I was a kid, I went to Dodger Stadium all the time, and before that, the Coliseum in L.A. But now with interleague play, you're seeing the other league even, so you get a little better feel for some of the players in the other league.
Which, have you switched at all your thoughts on, because you're old school, American, national, it's so blurred now. And next year with the way the schedule works.
I want to see how it works out, because I'm a little concerned about the schedule. Because when interleague play, the advent of interleague play was in '97. And I'm not sure if it was the next year where there were a ton of 2-game series. And the travel was awful. You'd go in someplace and play a night game and a day game, you were gone, then another 2-game series, and you had all these. It was just really rough as far as travel, crisscrossing the country trying to play these interleague games.
And that's not good baseball, by the way.
No, it's not. It's not. The reasons that I don't particularly care for it is that I like playing games that impact your league. I like playing a game against a club where the standings come more into focus when you're playing that team. And so that doesn't happen when you're now. A win is a win, and it counts on your record. And some of the great A's clubs dominated the National League, and that was helpful. But it's also just my own kind of personal perspective on it, is that I like doing games against teams that I know, and I think it makes for a better broadcast for me when you get to know these clubs. And now you don't see them that often. You prepare for a team and you see them in 2 games. You don't see them for another 3 years. And to me, that's not a whole lot of fun. But the ship has sailed on that. I mean, interleague play is here. It's not going away. So I just hope that in terms of the schedule, that they do it in a way that at least makes the travel smoother than it was back in the early days when we were stuck with all these 2-game series.
When we were talking about Matt Chapman being one of the greatest third basemen that we've ever seen, I mean, for me, he's the best defensive third baseman I've ever seen. And, when you start looking at guys, and we were talking about Brooks Robinson, I'm too young. And then I said, Mike Schmidt, because even though Mike Schmidt's a National League guy, I grew up in a National League town, but you never, we didn't have MLB Network. We didn't have Sports Center. You didn't get to see every one of his games, every at bats, all the different highlights, to where now we get to see more than ever before. I would just say what we're about to do is going to allow at least young kids to see everybody.
Yeah, and I
get
get the argument. I get the argument. So there are other things to me about the game that are more important from my point of view if I were like Commissioner Korak. So, I mean, it's like I said, nothing's going to change where the interleague play is here to stay. And I mean, I really love watching guys that are going to put people in the ballpark. And that's what the A's need to develop.
Yes.
A's need a Julio Rodriguez. We talked about it over then. Julio was just named the American League Player of the Week for the week ending Sunday, that he's going to put people in the seats in Seattle. And those are the guys that you can build a franchise around and build your marketing and sales. Guys like that are really important in the game. And even with the All-Star game coming up, I hope that there's a way to showcase the young players beyond the futures game. But a guy like Rodriguez should be in the All-Star game, because you want the whole country to see someone who doesn't maybe get as much exposure as some of the other players because he's playing up in Seattle.
How do you get a Julio Rodriguez, and how do we get him here tonight?
Well, he's an international signing. He was an international sign by the Mariners. So
and that's why the Astros are the Astros right now. Their international signings have been fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they traded for Alvarez from the Dodgers, which is pretty amazing.
That was a steal.
It was a steal, and he's He's right there right now to me with
Aren't you curious
with
to
Judge for MVP.
Aren't you curious to see what he looked like when they made that trade? Because now he's just so massive. He's such a big guy. He was a young kid at the time. Was he just a tall, lanky guy? Didn't have a lot of pop. Like, who said, "Yep, give that guy up"?
Scott Emerson said that he is as good a hitter as he's ever seen.
How do you give that guy up?
I don't know. I mean, there are times when you win, you try to win now. And so you're willing to trade a low minors guy, an obscure guy, which he was at the time, because you're trying to get a big league ball player. And that's the way a lot of these deals come down. So
where are we? I've lost track.
You're having so much fun.
I think we've only did one commercial break the entire day.
We got about like 3 minutes. I do want to give Ken a scouting report since it will be hit. I've been to the ballpark in Texas before, every one of our broadcasters.
You haven't been there yet?
No, in fact, the A's are playing the Astros this weekend, which will mark 2 series at home against the Astros and 2 series at home against the Rangers before the A's even go to Texas for the first time this year.
That's true.
Wait, what happened last year?
We didn't travel. Broadcasters in travel.
We didn't travel last year?
We have not been on the road since 2019.
Yeah. Where have I been?
Except
in
San
2020.
Francisco.
Oh, that's right. I've been in my garage.
We did a series in San Francisco last year.
I've been in the home studio now.
We didn't go to L.A. for the playoffs in 2020.
That's correct. We did every game, but I thought last year we traveled.
Yeah. So anyway, the commander has a scouting report.
The ballpark's awesome. 104 degrees outside. You go inside. A cool 72 with the roof closed.
Every day.
Every day. They got amenities all around the ballpark. The broadcast booth and the press box still a little high.
You guys talk to me about things that matter to me, like the booth. Nothing else. I don't care about the amenities.
The fans, what do they matter?
The commander, come on.
He wants to know how's the food and how's his view.
I think the broadcast booth it's higher up there, but I wouldn't say it's like where you're going to be up there and you can't see anything. You need binoculars to see what's going on in the field, but it's not low on a lower level. I would say it's probably higher than where the Bill King booth is.
Yeah, everybody's is, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Standard.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not low like the Giants have theirs. It's not like that.
Houston is low, too. Houston's great view from there for a new ballpark. It's a little unusual, just to the right of home plate, down low. I was told it's not as high as...
It's not like Pittsburgh.
Yeah, right. Because there was a lot of concern in our fraternity about the new ballpark in Texas. But it's not, they say it's not quite as bad as it was made out to be before it opened. So, I'm digging the air conditioning.
Yeah, that was the best part.
No wind and no papers flying all over the place, and no Bill King slamming his briefcase in his notebook because the wind drove him crazy. And
if you think about the long-term investment and all the different issues that the Rangers had from a standpoint of people deciding on whether are we going to go to the game? I don't know. It could rain. It's not. The humidity, lightning, all that kind of stuff. That's all thrown out, and now they can guarantee they have 81 games. It's like that roof will pay for itself.
That was the only good thing about AstroTurf in the early days of AstroTurf, because now they have this incredible drainage at all the natural turf ballparks where it can rain for 2 hours like crazy, and then you can play a game. But in the early days of AstroTurf, in places like Kansas City, Chris,
where
they really relied on people coming from far away, maybe spending a weekend in
St. Louis for years too, yeah.
And that's why, as awful as AstroTurf really was to play on, that was the only benefit of it, because you could have a big thunderstorm in the Midwest and then play a game on time at 7:00.
Do we got time for one buying or selling?
Sure, why not?
And Ken Korak can play buying or selling, the voice of your Oakland Athletics.
Are you going to make me find it all? Because I have like 1,000 of them. There's so many on here that we haven't even used.
Give us a good one. We have Ken Korak here, for God's sakes. You don't get him here every day.
Let me looking. Hold on. I put a new one. Oh, I know what I can ask him. The Buster Posey question.
Ooh.
Hall of Fame?
We'll get into that another time. We need more time than this right now.
Okay.
So Ken Rosenthal put Will Smith and Buster Posey in the same sentence in his new piece. How dare he? The future Hall of Famer versus some Dodgers catcher. But listen to their numbers for their first 284 games, according to Ken Rosenthal. Buster Posey, his slash line 307, 374, 489. That's in 41 career home runs. Will Smith, 261, 349, 870 OPS, and he had 60 home runs. Will Smith has a 943 career OPS with runners in scoring position. Posey, well lowered, 888 OPS runners in scoring position.
Right.
Buying or selling Will Smith is the next Buster Posey.
I think he might be. I really like Will Smith. I think he's outstanding.
Drafted the same year as
I think
Sean
he's
Murphy.
The actor or the ball player?
I like Sean Murphy a lot too. So I think Will Smith has a chance to be maybe not a perennial all-star, but to make several all-star teams in the National League. No, I really like him.
I'll buy it, but he's got more pop, and
Yeah.
more pop will play longer for him, which I think will skew his numbers. But he's not. Well, I don't know. He was part of the World Series team.
Yeah, he's also
They can win another World Series or two. Now he's a part of a couple World Series teams, more pop, and now you're
He debuted also 2 years. Posey debuted at 22. Smith was 24. Because remember, they're both college guys, but Will Smith took a little longer. Him and Murph are in the same class together.
Buster Posey out of
Florida State.
He's a Seminole.
Cal Raleigh of Seattle Mariners, Florida State guy too.
By the way, a little challenge for you tonight. If you can work in RE24, the metric.
Which is?
It's a great question. I'm still trying to figure it out
Okay.
myself.
Larry Doby became the first American League African-American on this day.
You know how I feel that it rubs me wrong.
Yeah.
It was 3 months after Jackie Robinson. People act like it was years. No, it was just 3 months later. He
And
did
the other
everything
thing,
the same.
The other thing about, and they both were great, and they both dealt with so much racism
Yeah.
and all the segregation, Chris, and they're both in the Hall of Fame, thank goodness. But Doby came straight from the Negro Leagues. There's a great story on
Newark.
MLB.com today by Anthony Castrovintz about Doby and his life. And yeah, he actually literally took the train from Newark to join the then Cleveland Indians in Chicago at the old Comiskey Park, and overnight train to get there and signed a pinch hit on this date.
He was
He broke the color barrier in the American League.
second African-American to be a manager.
Yeah.
You're talking about a guy who was, led the American League in home runs. He led them in RBIs. He was an all-star. He was a great player. He was a World Series champion. He was on
He was an executive, too, after
Yeah.
his playing days. He had a nice career after he was done playing.
and
so
none of these
kudos.
guys know who he is.
Number 14.
That's the thing. It's like everybody knows who Jackie Robinson is, but Larry Doby did
Right.
the exact same thing, and nobody knows who he is. And he was
And
a
he had
great
a great
player.
career. So I'm glad he's getting recognized today on the anniversary.
Is that it for the show?
That's it, yeah.
What time is it?
5:20.
It just went by so quick. You were having so much fun, Townie.
I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I may keep you longer for the post-game show tonight. Days Clubhouse with Ken. You know what? 833-625-2278. Ask Ken. We could have
We'll
a
be taking
segment.
calls.
I love
We
it
used
all
to
night
do
long.
we used to do that during rain delays when I was working with Bill.
You guys
and
used to take calls
during the delays, and it was like the greatest talk radio in the world because everybody wanted to talk to Bill. How often did A's fans have a chance to
Not a
talk
lot.
directly to Bill and ask him questions?
Well, it's like
phone
you-
lines lit up.
You
man.
could do Warriors. You could do Raiders.
Yeah,
you could
no,
do
I mean,
anything.
It was really cool.
Well, great stuff. Thank you for
Thanks,
stopping
buddy.
by. What do we got here?
We're going to play the Mark Kotze show here.
Ooh, the Mark Kotze show. Then we'll be back with A's Total Access, brought to you by
Chevron.
Who's on? Oh, we're gonna have Matt Chapman. We'll replay the Matt Chapman. That's all coming up next, right here on A's Cast.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak